Beginning of the 10:30 a.m. turn, and we're seeing that entire attack on the flank near the river by the Prussians destroyed, basically. Everything's routed. That's not to say there's nothing left, but there's a lot less there than there was. The Austrian cav made short work of it in those close quarters. Looking at the main attack on the pinch there, the Russians are beginning to get much weaker. They have no one guarding the cannons, which the rules aren't clear on this, but I think I can just walk into and make a capture attempt, even though there's no combat involved. That's not what it sounds like, but any other reading of the rules makes them invulnerable at this point. What else happened? A little bit of a Russian attack out of the burning town. That didn't work very well. They're gone. The routing units are back under control, though, and it looks like they're making a big outflank through the woods. Ooh. There are still a couple of cav units that aren't detected yet, so that could be them. Alright. Kunersdorf, halfway through the 10:30 turn. Prussian attacks on the main formation of the Russians. They're gaining terrain slowly, but they're also got repulsed over to the northern side. Over here on the extreme west, there's still a cav engagement going on, but for the most part, as I said, the Prussian cav and infantry detachment down there are out of the battle. Losses, the amount of casualties that are going, I cannot see a way that the Prussians can win this game. I think what I'm going to do is pull away at this point, because unless something tremendous happens, there's just no real reason to launch, to continue launching this attack. I think pull back to the river line, see what happens, and maybe the Russians will come down and attack, or maybe they'll say, I'll take the minor victory. But there's no reason to keep this assault up. Giving the Russians a minor victory seems about the best that can be done, since the victory point swing would have to, the points would have to completely reverse where they are right now. And I just don't see how that's liable to happen. Even in a defensive battle, it seems unlikely. So there's a good chance the Russians will follow up. Start of the 11:30 turn. And yeah, the Prussians are going to have to pull back. Over here, their frontal assault against the Russian heading position has completely failed. They got thrown back, mainly by the artillery. And then on the Austrian side of things, what's left of that cav routed away, and they're going to have to get out of there too. So right now the goal is get as much, either someplace safe or off the map or whatever, as quick as possible. Beginning of 12:30, and the tide has definitely turned. Austrian army chasing that wing off into the swamps, and the Russians coming out of their defensive position and coming from behind to harass the Prussians. Largely, the Russians don't want to directly engage at this point. They still had a lot of disordered units, and that line's pretty solid, so they're probably going to try to set up and use their artillery advantage against it if it'll stand still. If it won't stand still, well, they'll just keep marching into the guns, I guess. No, I don't really know. It depends on how things start developing tactically, but yeah, I could see where the Prussians could pretty much get away by default. 1:30 p.m. The biggest thing going on right now is that the Prussians are in the zone where they have to start rolling for demoralization every turn. The Allied army is well above that. and we've got pressing attacks in that swamp area. Mainly the Prussians are Cav, and they're able to screen pretty well. The Austrian Cav is actually able to force an engagement in this guy. Should not be on top of nothing. His unit got destroyed, or units. Engagement here, some of the Prussian Cav got somewhat schwacked. It's under pressure there, but it's dealing as good as it gets. And the Prussian guns along the river are doing a good job of making the Russians pay if they're going to come forward. I think the coalition forces have to keep pressing on because they really do want to see that demoralization issue take place. Once it does, then they have to decide, is that good enough or do I need to pursue? So here we are at the beginning of 2:30. The Prussian army is demoralized. They hit the automatic demoralization point, which is going to make things a little bit harder on them. They've already got units routing that they can't recover. Those Cav got cut off and they're having real trouble in the swamp there. The infantry's slipping away, but whatever. And the line here is being caved in over on its right flank, and the left flank units that were routing some of the Cav are being forced into an attack they probably don't want to make. Here we are at the beginning of 3:30 turn. The Prussian army is officially broken. The coalition or allied army is in good shape. Not really the coalition. That whole expedition through the swamp has been destroyed. The main Prussian line is engaged in combat and will be having trouble because of that. And meanwhile, some other units are routing their way off the map. 4:30 in the afternoon, and we're seeing a full-fledged pursuit with just a couple of units that were trying to hold the border, the river line. There's nothing there but the artillery now, and according to the designer, that's pretty much you walk into it and it's gone. They don't even get a shot if they're alone like that. Yeah, I'm just going to call it here. This is probably a worse route than actually the historical was. Looking at about a 30-point swing in victory points, looking over it. I'm going to move this on, and then I'll give a review of the whole set as soon as I'm finished with cleaning up. Interesting battle. Obviously, going head-on didn't work out well. No shock there.